today on the Spurs Up Show is a man that played for Gamecocks baseball from 2016 to 2018. During his career, he hit 247, 3 home runs, had 20 RBIs. In 2018, he was named the Greenville Regional MVP, had a 3-run homer against Ohio State and also 3 hits against East Carolina as the Gamecocks swept through the Greenville Regional, went on to the Super Regionals. He transferred to Tampa for the 2019 season. I'm very pleased to be joined by former Gamecocks outfielder Danny Blair. Danny, appreciate you taking the time, man. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Danny, I want to go back to the beginning for you because, like I just mentioned, you're a guy from Maryland. So, how did South Carolina? Again, you're a top prospect in the state of Maryland. How did South Carolina come on the radar for you? When did they come on the radar, and what made your decision to go to South Carolina?
So I played for the Evo Shield Canes in high school summer, and that's kind of what got me on the radar for all these schools. And I always wanted to go south for school. I was tired of playing up in Maryland in the winter and springtime, and wanted to go south. So the Canes kind of just ask you, who do you want to, where do you want to go? You give them a list of schools, and then, we also play tournaments and stuff down there in Columbia and North Carolina and stuff where, at the time, Coach Esposito and Coach Holbrook and Coach Myers all came out to those games back then. And, so that's kind of how I got on their radar, and then went on a couple of visits, and then, the rest was history.
For sure. So you get on campus, obviously, like you said, you're under, you're under Coach Holbrook, and I think it's interesting because you saw a coaching change while you were there. Just talk about first, your relationship with Holbrook, what that was like, and also how tough was it, after 17, again, seeing him get let go, because we all know, I mean, you know obviously well now the pressures of Gamecock baseball, and definitely you're under a microscope, and if you don't perform, it's a business. So, I mean, but just talk about your relationship with Holbrook and how that evolved while you were there.
Yeah. Like you said, it's a business, but I like any freshman, I guess, coming in, I had, kind of a decent relationship with him, only having conversations on visits and stuff like that. So coming in, you kind of have to build that right away, and it was tough, because we came in my freshman year and he was already on the hot seat a little bit for the year that they had before my freshman year. They didn't make a regional, and so we, right out of the gate, we were 6 a.m. conditioning, setting the tone early, kind of what the expectation was. So he was kind of seen as more of that coach figure than maybe like the players coach at first. And then, we had a pretty successful my freshman year. It was pretty good. That was the year we had, like Gene Cone and Dom and all those guys. They had pretty good years and, made it to a super. So then I think there was a little bit of pressure relieved after that year. So we came back for my sophomore year, and his a little bit different attitude around there. Obviously, it didn't end up working out for us, but we were able to build at least a little bit better relationship with him. That positive. There were good times, obviously, good times and bad times for everyone. But Coach, it was an enjoyable experience with Coach Holbrook for sure.
For sure. Just talk about because obviously, again, you went through a coaching transition. Holbrook was your guy, got you to South Carolina, everything. That entire staff is wiped clean. Kingston comes in, brings his guys in. And obviously there was I think definitely the thing I saw the most was there was certainly a philosophical change, especially at the plate. It seemed like, a lot of guys, their careers were basically revitalized from Kingston.
Yeah.
Madison Stokes jumps to my head, Justin Rowe and the way he hit that year, and the way they used you as well. But just talk about the transition for you personally. Was it smooth? What was the relationship like with Kingston? I mean, how did that go down?
So that was a really weird time for a lot of us. Because we're for a good portion of our summer, or at least the first part of summer, we didn't have a coach, or we didn't have anyone reaching out to us or anything,
Right.
and we weren't really in the loop. So when Kingston came on, um, yeah, it was just different because I was up in Maryland. So some of the guys were down there working out. Some of my boys like LT and TJ, and I think maybe Cody might have been down there working out. But I was up in Maryland, so I made a point to fly down there one weekend in the summer just to meet him and just show my face and just tell him what I've been up to, because I was working out that summer. I was training, and I just wanted to talk to him. So that's kind of how our relationship started. And then from there, I didn't see him again until we came back on campus in the fall. And this shows how busy he was. So I met him in the summer, and then I came back on campus, and I saw him again. I was like, "Hey, coach, how you doing?" Me and LT were going to hit on the field, and I just went up to his office to say, "Hey." And then he's like, "Oh yeah, like what's your name?" Or he said something like, "Nice to meet you again." I was like, "Oh no, we met already." But like that was a pretty busy time for him. Me and LT walking in the office, and he's like trying to figure out who we are. But yeah, so that's kind of how the relationship was with him. He was definitely more of like a business first guy, which obviously he's a successful guy, and it shows. So, but he's more of a business guy, and that's kind of the relationship that at least I had with him.
Right. I want to jump around, obviously, because the Greenville Regional. I want to go ahead and jump into that. 2018, I thought it was really cool the way you guys turned it around. Obviously the season didn't necessarily start the way you guys wanted, and it's been well documented about Kingston's speech after the PC game, and that really just flipped the switch for you guys. But again, for you personally, you kind of platooned in the outfield all season. Then you get to the Greenville Regional, and I mean, definitely the most memorable moment, I would say, you'd probably say as well, was your 3-run homer against Ohio State. I mean, it's late in the game, down 2-0. It's, what is it, bottom of the seventh, I think, or something like that, seventh inning.
Yeah,
but they're up. They're up. They've been pitching well all day. Guys couldn't do anything, and then you come up, hit the 3-run homer. Just break down kind of that, going into that regional. I know you guys felt a little disrespected because, they were the host, obviously, and you had a chip on your shoulder, at least I should say. You had something to prove. But I think that was still pretty early on in the regional, or that may have been the first game. But anyways, for you specifically, yeah, just talk about that game, that at bat, that moment, what that was like for you.
Yeah, for sure. That was a good moment for sure. Yeah, so that game, yeah, I came in, I think, so they started a lefty on the mound, and that's a for sure no go because I'm a lefty, obviously.
Right.
So once that lefty came out, he was giving our guys trouble, and then I think I came in for Noah. Noah Campbell was in left, and Kingston. It was a close game. He's like, you know what, our guys, struggling a little bit. So I went in to play defense, trying to maintain that close, 1-run game, and then I just ended up we kept it close. It was 1-0. Then I ended up coming up in a situation where I couldn't really do anything to my strength, use my speed, or do anything. So I kind of just had to hit away. But I was feeling good during that time. And BP coming into the regional, I was feeling really good. So I was like, you know what? If I get like a spot start here or something, I feel like I'd have a good day at the plate. So I was feeling confident, and then but Ohio State had one of the best relievers in the country on the mound at the time. He hadn't given up a home run all year, and we were scrapping away. We had a couple guys on base, and then I came up, and he got me. He threw 2 dotted up fastballs, and I was like, all right, well, now I just gotta try to put it in play, beat it out, so we can get a run on the board, because I think it was second and third with 1 out. And then he just threw me a 2-strike little frisbee slider. Didn't really break to my back foot, kind of just hung up there, and I was able to put a decent amount of barrel on it to get it out. So yeah, no, that was it was crazy. It was, you come up, you're just trying to hit a sac fly or something up the middle, and then the ball ends up getting out. So it was a pretty wild experience.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say with obviously not to knock you, but 3 career home runs, that was definitely the best case scenario that could have happened. You hitting a bomb in that situation.
Absolutely.
So just expand on it. I mean, again, the regional run, going to the super regionals. I mean, you were lucky enough again in 16 and 18. You played in 2 super regionals during your career.
Yeah.
Being on that stage, you know what I mean? I guess how cool was that? You got to play one of them at home, and then one of them you went on the road in one of the best environments in college baseball, obviously Arkansas.
Right.
Well, what was that like, I guess, and if you can explain
Yeah.
that to Gamecock fans that never get that opportunity
Yeah,
of being on that
absolutely.
stage.
Yeah, so obviously the first super regional is at home, and that's a great experience. I didn't have obviously a big role in that, but in the second one is the one that I can really remember and really talk about, and that the one in Arkansas, that's probably one of the craziest and best baseball moments I've had in my life. So that's coming off the Greenville the ECU regional, and so I was able to. I think I started 2 out of the 3 games in that series. So played a decent role, and led off. I think both games I played, I think I led off, and just coming up for example, coming in that first game on that Friday night or Thursday night, whatever day it was, in front of the 12 to 14 or whatever they say thousand. They say it's 12,000 fans there, but it feels like 100,000. It's just so loud. It's the loudest experience that you have, and being back there in center up against the fraternity guys behind you with the whatever. It was just a crazy experience. So that obviously, we were 1 game away. Didn't just ran out of juice at the end there, and but the experience overall was unbelievable.
For sure. I want to ask you, Danny, obviously, again, that series doesn't necessarily go the way you guys want, lose out in the 3rd game, but a great season, wrapping up the 2018 season. It comes out after that. You make the decision to transfer to Tampa. I'm just curious because guys, I mean, you see it every year in college baseball. There's at least 3, 4, 5 guys that for whatever reasons,
Yeah.
whatever reason they transfer. What was the reasoning for you? Was it as simple as just getting more playing time, or what went into that decision for you?
Yeah. No. So I had obviously been, coaches have to follow the rules, but they kind of start reaching out to you, guys that they think might transfer. So people were reaching out to me like heading into the end of the year, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to talk to anyone until our season's over because we were going towards the playoffs. So then everything happened in the playoffs, how it happened. And, I had a really good regional, and I was like, well, I kind of want to come back and, make a run at the World Series. Like, that was a fun run with my guys, whatever. So we got back from Arkansas, and I was expecting, a couple weeks to go by, and then maybe I'll talk about it with my family. But, we have a meeting. We had our every single guy had an exit meeting with Kingston,
Right.
right when we got back from Arkansas. And whether you're a draft guy or whether you're a freshman or whatever, everyone was meeting with him that day.
Mm-hmm.
So we got off the plane from Arkansas, and just everyone was just waiting their turn. So I went in there, and we had a good conversation. I talked with all of them. All the coaches were in there, and he kind of asked me. His first question to me was, what is your, what's your plan for next year? What do you want to do? And I was like, well, like, I guess that depends on what your plan is. Like, for me, like, what's your plan for me? And he was like, okay, yeah. So he kind of explained, he's like, you can, it's going to be the same. Like, you just got to battle out for a job. If you prove yourself, you very well could be a everyday guy, but there's just a lot of, there's a lot of competition. So, I mean, it wasn't like, hey, you're just, I think you should head out.
Right.
But, it was just, you got to compete, which, I
Mm-hmm.
love competing. That's why I stayed till my junior year. I mean,
Right.
there were definitely influences from other places trying to get me to leave before that, but I wanted to stay there and I wanted to compete. But, going into my senior year, I was talking to my advisor at the time, and and he was good friends with Coach Ursa at University of Tampa, and he was like, "I know you want to stay at Carolina, but just if you're going to do anything, maybe give UT a look." So I was like, okay. So I finished the meeting with Kingston, had that call with my advisor, then I went down to Tampa a couple of days later, visited with Coach Urso, and then he gave me his whole thing, and then from there I was pretty confident that I wanted to finish up my senior year down in Florida at UT. Just I was going to be an everyday center fielder, just a guarantee. The competition was similar, and at that point in my career, I was just looking to get picked up, looking to get playing time, and then looking to get picked up. Guarantee wise, I had my experiences at South Carolina, so that's what kind of led into my decision to transfer in that year.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it panned out pretty well for you. I mean, you played in 54 games at 283, homer, 29 RBIs. Just talk about your experience down there, because for those that don't know, Tampa is one of the best division, year in and year out. I mean, the baseball in Florida for sure is phenomenal, but Tampa year in, year out is one of the better Division II teams around. So just talk about your experience down there for that year.
Yeah, it was like you said, I kind of lucked out there. I came into a great situation with Coach Urso, and it's weird. It's kind of it's a different atmosphere because you have a lot of guys transferring in with you, and a successful D2 like Tampa or like in North Greenville in South Carolina will have a lot of transfers coming in that sophomore, junior, and maybe senior year like me, that kind of area. So we had quite a few guys that it was their first or second year, but we bonded really well. Coach Urso does a great job down there on building, great, a great team, great character within the guys, and he'll have parties. He has a house on the lake. He'll have lake parties down there, and Tampa's a really good place to, a lot of extracurricular activities as well. So that was able to get us close as a team. So that was fun for me to go down there and enjoy that, because I was close with a lot of guys at Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of really good friends that I came in there with, and that I'm still really good friends with. So I was kind of worrying about that a little bit going down there. So that was definitely a good aspect of it was the team. But yeah, we had a really good team. Baseball down there in that conference, by far it's the best Division II conference in the country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it reminded me, some of the opponents we played were just as good as teams I would say from Division I teams we played at Carolina, like maybe some midweek teams or something like that. So that's kind of the competition level is similar arms, just not as much depth. Guys throwing 94, 96, but then guys coming out of the bullpen maybe 92, and then maybe like a solid closer that gets it up there to mid upper 90s. But it's a really good competitive league down there, and we had a solid year last year. I hit okay. I didn't hit as good as I wanted to. Obviously, that's what I was really putting some pressure on my hitting, but played good defense, and then really turned it on in the World Series, in the playoffs, really in the World Series, and I had a really good World Series and carry, and we were fortunate enough to win it.
So you guys won it all. Yeah, that worked out really well for you then, didn't it?
Yeah. So we won it all last year. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, so we kind of just turned it on there, and so that was Tampa's 8th title, or Coach Ursa's 8th title, maybe. 8th, and then University of Tampa's 9th title. So it's a good deal. Yeah,
that definitely worked out well for sure. Yeah, because I was going to say, I mean, it's unfortunate, but the 2019 season did not go quite as smoothly for South Carolina, as you know. Not exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was still keeping contact with my buddies and talking to them, talking to TJ and everything, but 2019 obviously didn't go as well. So I guess it went, out of all years to miss out on, wouldn't have been the worst one. But
no, yeah, for sure. I was just going to say, you were talking about that conference, the Sunshine State Conference. I mean, they have Nova, Florida Southern, Barry. I mean, Rollins, Lynn. It's just like down the list. It's just stud teams, great teams.
I mean, and that's the thing. I didn't want to. I was really, because South Carolina, that's Power 5, that's up there, and in terms of baseball, and I did not want to make that jump transition down. And I mean, now I look dumb, obviously, because I ended up hitting 280. So, but yeah. So I was like, okay. And then I go down there, and they're like, look at the guys that come out of this conference. Like Nova has JD Martinez.
Right.
Tampa's got Tino Martinez. All these pitchers coming out of these schools. So yeah, it's a solid conference for sure.
Now, I want to ask you, Danny, obviously, I mean, again, one of the reasons you transfer, and I think every guy does it, I mean, it's hard to get drafted off the bench. You know what I mean? Like, you need to be in the game,
Yeah.
show your abilities, develop, whatever. What were the opportunities like for you after Tampa? Was there anything, did you, mull over any options for, signing any pro contract, whether it be, MLB, indie ball, like whatever? What was, I guess, after Tampa, what was like the next step?
Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, I obviously didn't play as good as I wanted to down the stretch to get that to where I wanted to be. But yeah, I still received some calls, and I got a few. I think I went to a couple workouts. One of the ones that I remember specifically is the Braves. I did a workout for the Braves, but no one ever ended up coming with an offer. I got some. A bunch of solid indie ball league offers, and also a couple leagues from overseas, one of which in Australia that I was kind of considering a pro ball in Australia, but to kind of get my foot in the door. But I ended up not doing that either. But so did a couple workouts, but nothing MLB wise. And then I didn't really want to go the indie ball route. Because in order for me to play again, I'm probably going to need to get some sort of – need some sort of surgery on my shoulder. So in order for me to play a full season, whether that's getting it cleaned up or actual surgery, I don't know. But so I didn't want to just get surgery to do all that just for indie ball. But if I were to maybe get a couple of offers or looks in the MLB or minor leagues or whatever – I might have got that done. So that's kind of where I was at baseball wise. So, that's where I've been at. Just decided to just start working, just graduate and just start working for the, family business.
I got you. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is there, right now, currently, obviously, everything's shut down. Everybody's staying on quarantine, lockdown, whatever. But is there any baseball in Danny Blair's future, whether it be coaching, playing? I mean, what's your thoughts on the game as far as are you done with the game or going to get back into it? Or what's?
I don't know, because this whole Corona thing made it real tough. I was going to graduate and then potentially this upcoming winter, possibly do the winter league, the pro league in Australia, maybe go over there, see how I felt, to maybe come back here and play a little bit next spring and summer, if I got any looks. But right now I just don't know what's going on with that. So I've just been working. I mean, I'm working out and I'm staying in shape, but there's just nothing specifically in the future that I can think of, unless this thing were to wrap up real soon. I just don't know. But this whole virus, who knows when we're ever going to get to play again.
Yeah, hopefully soon. I know we could all use our baseball fix. I'm definitely curious, Danny, to get your takeaways, because obviously and I know you probably stay in touch with all those guys, but definitely one of the biggest, it was just such a shame the season got cut short, because I really thought this Carolina baseball team this year had the opportunity to surprise some people, if you will, in the SEC. But just give your overall takeaways on the state of the program. Obviously under Kingston's leadership, I feel good about Kingston, but like we're saying at South Carolina, it's a business and there's a lot of pressure, and it's crazy that, the expectations are so high. There's already people that want Kingston gone, which is insane. But just kind of talk about your overall takeaways on the state of the program, like where you think it's at now, and your expectations, I guess, for them moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, you see, it's just crazy if you look at the transformation kind of from the time where I was going to visit, and then going my freshman year to now, or to even my junior year, the things and changes that Kingston is making, and everything, appearance wise, it looks good. It's stuff to draw in, the recruits and bring in the guys to have a successful program, they're just going to need to put together a full stretch. So you look back from Kingston's whole record, you go back to ours, we turned it on at the end, made the Supers. Then 2019, they was that didn't have a great year, but hitting wise, didn't would they lead have.
Yeah, we're leading the country in home runs for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing they were hitting a bunch of homers that year. So you see the philosophy kind of starting to work, but there's still question marks. And then there's this year, and then it got cut short. So I'd say for the people that are like, hey, like let's get this guy out of here. You gotta let him get get a full stretch going, get a full season. 1 season, 2 seasons, even 3 seasons might not be enough to do the kind of transformation that he's been doing. There's a lot that goes into it. So I'd say, hopefully, like you said, hopefully we can get back playing baseball here soon, and then they can get, by next spring, next college baseball season, I'm assuming everything will be back to normal. But yeah, so like I said, hopefully they get a nice little stretch going. Their their philosophy definitely works out. And then if you got to catch a break too. You got to get a couple guys like, Madison Stokes and those guys, LT Tolbert, who really turn it on and who really click with the kind of philosophy that they're trying to do, So they're bringing their own recruits in now, and you'll start to see, hopefully it works out with their philosophy. So that's, where I'm at. I think it is funny though. People want, after a year or so. I remember Kingston it was like our first maybe month. We didn't have a good first half of the season or whatever, and they were already saying they wanted him gone. And that was his first games ever. It was funny.
No, for sure. So before I let you out of here, Danny, I definitely want to get your thoughts, your favorite memory from playing at South Carolina. I feel like I already know where this is going from back to the Greenville Regional, but maybe favorite memories or favorite stories from Carolina that you can recall.
I have so many. There's so many stories. I mean, baseball memory probably is that Greenville Regional. Just right. That was a really good time, and not even on the field. It was off the field, just with that group of guys. It was really fun, and we were all just like in the hotel, playing Fortnite or whatever, doing whatever we did back then. But that was a good time. But when I think of memories, you can take me back that freshman year at 650 Lincoln. They just built those new apartments up there in the middle of campus or whatever. There's some funny memories from there. I had my roommates freshman year were it was me, Cody Morris, LT Tolbert, and Chris Cullen. And we did some dumb things, but we also had a good time. we bought. I remember one time we went to the pet store and we bought sharks. We just did some stupid college kid stuff, but on the field it was a good time. I remember the 6 a.m.s because that freshman year was when we had to a lot of 6 a.m.s. We had a lot of expectations. Got to have a better year, whatever, and that just brings me back to those 650 days, waking up at 6 a.m., going to work out, seeing LT just yak everywhere after these workouts or whatever, just struggling, just all that kind of this. It was funny. But, yeah, those are some memories that I think about them quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Well, Danny, really do appreciate it, man. I know I can speak for all Gamecock fans when I say, it was a pleasure to watch you out there do what you did, especially, like you said, in that Greenville Regional was awesome to watch that run you guys made, and obviously you were a big part of that. So really do appreciate it, man. Glad to hear you're doing well. Stay safe, obviously stay healthy, but no, appreciate the time, and let's do it again soon for sure.
All right. Yep. All right. I appreciate you having me on.
Perfect. So for Danny Blair, I'm Chris Phillips. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on an episode of the Spurs Up Show.